everyone, and welcome to this video tutorial for this frilly festive cat collar that you can see Melba wearing here. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so to make this festive cat collar, you'll need some yarn in 2 colours. So, I'm making this in December, so I'm going for these festive colours. But of course, you can make this collar at any time of the year in any colours. I'm going to go for this red and this creamy white. It's an acrylic with a metallic through it. Perhaps you can see it there, and it's quite fine. It's almost like a tape yarn actually. So you can choose any yarn that you like. It can be finer weight, it could be a bit more chunky weight, just depending on the look that you like. This one would be about a 2 weight. Okay. And then you'll need a crochet hook to correspond to your yarn, and I'm going to use 3.5 millimeter. You'll need some scissors, a darning needle to weave in your ends, a tape measure to take an accurate measurement of your cat's neck circumference. And I'm going to offer you 2 ways to make this. So one is using some elastic, which I've got some 3mm elastic here. You don't have to have elastic, but I would recommend using it if your cat has trouble with you putting anything over its head. Then this might be a good way to go, so you can stretch it out a little bit as you place it over the head. Otherwise, we're just going to make, in place of the elastic, we'll just use our yarn. Okay, so that's if your cat isn't super bothered by having things placed over his or her head. Okay, so to make this collar, you'll need to have a few techniques. So you'll need to decide whether you're making this with elastic or you're making it with the chain, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. But if you're making this with the elastic, you'll need to have a technique to tie the elastic ends together. I've shown you the magic knot, or I think it's called the fisherman's knot, I'm not exactly sure, but I've shown you that in the video, but not in any great detail. So if you need to brush up on a technique like that, then please do find a YouTube resource or any other resource that you've got for tying a secure knot. You'll need to know how to single crochet, how to double crochet, how to triple crochet for this bow part. There's half double crochets in this bow as well. And from there, you'll just need to know how to weave in your ends and some simple sewing techniques to sew the bow onto the collar. Now the bow is only optional, you don't have to add the bow, and of course I've done this as a festive version. You can do it in any colours you like. I've used just 2 colours here. You could certainly use 3. You could use different colours for nearly all of the parts of this, the inside, the outside edge. The bow you could make a different colour, so it's very versatile. It doesn't have to be only a festive collar. You can use any colours you like. But let's get started. Okay, so if you're making the elastic version, take your elastic and your tape measure. Now you will have taken a measurement of your cat's neck circumference, and in this pattern it's a good idea to have that measurement fairly accurate. So for Melba, her measurement is 23.5, and I'm going to just round that up to 24. And then you just want to add a little bit extra on so you can tie it into a knot. Okay, so you would just say leave an extra 2 to 3 centimeters. And I'll show you the knot we're going to tie. So you might be familiar with this knot already. It's a way to join yarn. So you'll just place the 2 ends together like this. One goes under and over and then through. So if you need to brush up on this technique, and it's called a magic knot. I think it might be a fisherman's knot in you know, kind of knot terminology. And then the other one comes over and under and through. Okay, and then you want to have as little tail as you can, so pull that nice and tight. So yeah, if you need help with that knot, just look up either, I think it's sometimes called a magic knot or a fisherman's knot, but yeah, it's actually a fairly simple knot, and it is like when you pull on it, it doesn't come undone. Okay, and then you can just snip off a little bit of excess. And that's what you'll use as your base if you're making the elasticated version. Okay, so yeah, if you need to use another video tutorial for that, then please do. I don't run through any of the techniques in great detail here, so yeah, if you need to brush up, then please do. So that's what you'll do if you're making the elastic version. I'll just put that aside for a moment. And if you're making, you know, you're just using your yarn, then you'll take your colour 1, for me that will be the red, and you're just going to make a slip knot onto your hook. And then you're going to make a chain to your cat's neck circumference. 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go ahead and make that chain to the 24 centimetres that is Melba's neck circumference. Now for this pattern you don't need to leave any extra really, you know, just if you do leave any extra, just a tiny amount, like, you know, maximum sort of ½ centimetre. Okay, so I'm going to go and make that chain, and you go ahead and do the same, and I'll meet you once I've done mine. Okay, so I've got my 24 centimetres there. Now, the only time that you would perhaps add any more than ½ centimetre, like you really don't even need to add any, is if your cat has a really wide head in proportion to its neck. Okay, otherwise you've got the chain to your cat's neck circumference, and you're just going to slip stitch into that first chain, yarn over and pull through both loops. And then just moving back momentarily to, actually, let's just continue with this one. So, no, sorry, I am going to momentarily move over to the elastic. So, just to show you how to tie onto your elastic, because whether you're using your elastic or you're using this loop, the technique's going to be the same, other than just this little tying on part. So I'll just take my other colour for a moment, and you're just going to tie onto the elastic. So the way I do that is I just pull up a loop and chain 1. You can tie on, there's lots of different ways to tie on, that's how I do it. And then I'll chain another one from there, and then I'm going to start by working in my tail and just place, single crochets over the elastic. Okay, so if you've got a different way to tie on, then absolutely you do that, and you go ahead and place your single crochets all the way around your elastic. So you want it to fill up, fill up the whole elastic with single crochets. Okay, no gaps. Okay, so you go ahead and do that if you're doing the elastic part, and I'll just undo that for now because I'm not using the elastic. I'm going to continue on with this one. And so you'll chain 1, and you're just going to do the same as you would if you were using elastic. You're just going to place, you're not actually working into the chains, okay? You're going to work single crochets into that loop that you've made, okay? So you'll have more single crochets than your chains, and you want them to be, you know, nice and close together as if you were doing it for the elastic. Nice and close together, no gaps, and you're just going to work as many single crochets around the circle as you can fit. Now you don't want them too close together, but also you don't want any gaps. Okay, so just keep on working around with your single crochets, whether you're using the elastic or the the circle that you've made, and you'll just keep placing your single crochets all the way around. Okay, and you might just have to shimmy them along a little bit, move them along. But if you move them along and see how they're all bunching up like this? Let's see if I can show you. See how they're all sort of bunching up like this? You don't want that to happen. You want them to be evenly spaced, but you want them to be, you know, quite well packed in there. Okay, so go ahead, keep on doing that, whether you're using the elastic or you know, your own loop. And I'll meet you once I've placed all of my single crochets in the ring. Okay, so I'm just coming to the end of my loop there, the end of my chain. So I'm just going to check that my single crochets are evenly spaced. So you'll notice that you can fit many more single crochets in there than there was chains. Okay, so that will increase the size of your ring to allow it to slip over the head. Okay, now that might depend a little bit on the material you're using, but I'm using, this is very non-stretchy material. There's no stretch in it at all, and it really does increase the size of the loop. Okay, even with this really non-stretchy material. So I'll just place one more in there, and let's just make sure I'm happy with how well spread they are, and I'm happy with the size there too. That looks good. And I'll just place one more, and then we're just going to slip stitch across. Okay, so that's, whether you've used elastic or you've used the chain, then that's what you've got so far. So we're going to change colour now. So if you've got a way that you change colour, then go ahead and do that. And actually what you can do here that might even make your colour change even more seamless is you can actually use your new colour to do the slip stitch. So you can just place your hook through that first stitch, yarn over and pull through with your new colour. Tighten the ends and then chain one just to anchor that in there. Now if you're not working in your ends, you can just weave them in at the end, no problem, you know, whatever works for you. And now we're going to move to double crochet. So chain two, and that will count as a double crochet, and I'll just snip my red end there. And now we're going to make the frilly section, and there's it's up to you here. You can make the frill quite tight, or you can make it a looser, more wavy frill. It's up to you. So back into that same stitch, or same, into that, where your chain's coming from, you'll place 3 more double crochets. Now you can place, depending on how, like I said, tight you want your ruffle, you can place anywhere from 3 to 6 double crochets into each stitch. So your chain counts as your first stitch, and then I've got 3 more in there for a total of 4 for this first stitch. And then I'm gonna work in my tail as I go, and then I'm gonna move to my next stitch, and I'm gonna place 4. 1 and 2. 2 and 3 and 4. So like I said, if you want a looser, more wavy ruffle, you would place, let's say, 3 double crochets in each stitch. If you want a more tight ruffle, then you would place anywhere up to about 6 double crochets into each stitch. So I'm sort of somewhere in the middle there. I'm going with 4. So I'm going to place 4 single crochets in each of those, 4 double crochets in each of those single crochets that we made in that first round. And then eventually it'll start, how many is that? 3, 1 more. And then eventually you'll start to see the ruffle happening. Okay, so keep working around. You'll place your number, the number that you've chosen of double crochets into each stitch all the way around. And I'll meet you once I get around here. Now, just to say, don't worry if you can't see your ruffles very clearly for those first few stitches, because eventually, yeah, I mean, for now, you see, if you bring that around, so you start to see the ruffles more clearly. So they'll become more and more clear as you move around the ring. So keep on going, and I'll meet you shortly. Okay, so you can see my ruffles coming in nicely there now. Okay, for now they'll be a little bit uneven, but eventually at the end you'll go around and you'll make your ruffles more even. But you can see they're coming in really nicely there now. So yeah, once again, see you soon. Okay, so I'm just working my 4 double crochets into my last stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you can see the nice ruffles that I've got there. So that's with 4 double crochets. I mean, and it depends also on the yarn that you're using, but that's the sort of ruffles I get with that number of double crochets in each stitch. Okay, now you want to just check that all of your ruffles, so there's no twist. Okay, so I've got a bit of a twist there. So just work your way around, make sure that your colour 1 is all on the inside. Now you've got a couple of choices here. So you'll slip stitch to that first chain, top of the first chain. And you've got a choice here. So you can go around for another round of double crochets, so you could make make these ruffles a lot thicker. So you just put 1 in each stitch all the way around, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that because I want my ruffles to be just a little bit higher, I think. So count your chain as your first stitch, and then move into placing 1 double crochet into each stitch. Now if you don't want to do that, then I'll place the timestamp on this video of where to skip forward to finish this off. So eventually we're going to place another row of single crochets, 1 in each stitch with your first colour, or you can use a different colour, but I'm going to use my colour 1, and I'm going to eventually do a single crochet round along the top there. So if you want to go on and do that, I'll put the timestamp of where that is in the video. And if you want to add another row of, you could add another row of single crochets in this color if you wanted to, if you want just a little bit higher, not a double height. You can tailor that to your preference, your yarn, the size of your cat, all that sort of stuff. So you can go ahead and do, I'll see how tall that's working out, but I think I'm going to do, another round of double crochets. So you pause here. You either go around for another round of double crochets, a round of single crochets. You can skip forward and change color here and do your final round of single crochets, just 1 in each stitch in your first color. So you do what you want to do here, and I'll meet you once I've done my round of double crochets. Okay, so I've finished all of my second round of double crochets, and that just, like you can see there, it just gives me that double height that I think with this yarn, because it's quite fine, that I needed for this collar. So now before I slip stitch, I'm just going to attach, I'm just going to insert my hook first into that top of that chain, and then I'm going to wrap my yarn over, pull up a loop and slip stitch, and then just tighten all those ends. Chain 1, that just secures it on there a little bit more, and then chain 1 more to give me the height for my single crochets. So it's just going to be 1 single crochet in each of your stitches to create the border. So you could, if you're only using the 2 colors like me, you'll change back to your color 1, And you know, if you want to use 3 colors, you can make this border in a 3rd color. So, you know, you could really have fun with the colors on this one. So you'll work all the way around, just 1 single crochet in each of your stitches, all the way around until you get back round to here, and I'll meet you there. Okay, I'm just placing my last single crochet in that round, and then I'm just going to slip stitch into the chain to join, and there is the border. Doesn't that look pretty? I think it looks really beautiful. Once you add the border, it just comes to life. So you'll just yarn over and pull through here. And you'll weave in your ends. So let's just do one of those on camera. So I'll just do one of my red ones here. So I'm kind of assuming that, you know, you've got most of these basic techniques available to you already, but you'll just thread one of your tails with your darning needle, and then you're just going to weave it through where you can. You know, obviously you weave the same color into the same color, and you just want to weave it so it's secure and hidden. And this is quite tight in there, so I'll get this through. Hang on, I'll pause and I'll get this through, and I'll be right back. Okay, when my needle gets stuck like that, you just use a rubber glove just to pull it through, and then you will just weave back. You know, to go back 2 to 3 times is a good idea. So I'm just going to weave that back through a little bit. And once again, I'll pause and I'll get that. Oh, hang on, I've got this through this time. Bit of a wiggle and a jiggle, and I'm through. There we go. So that's enough. Just going through twice like that will be secure enough, because you can see how firm it is in there. So that's not going to come undone easily. So I'm going to weave in I've got 3 more ends there to weave in. Now the white I'll just weave into the double crochet stitches, so they're a bit looser, so they'll be much more easy to weave in. And then we're going to go ahead and make an optional bow. So you can just leave it as it is. You don't have to add this bow piece, but we're just going to add a little bow down at the front of the neck here. So yeah, totally optional, and you can use one of your colors that you've already used, or you can move to a different color. But I'll be back after I've woven in my last few ends there. Okay, so there I've woven in all of my ends, and I've got this neat little collar. So from here you can keep it just like this if you like it, just like as you know, as it is, or if you want to, you can come along with me, and we're going to make a little bow just to add to one of the frills here. But you know, that's entirely optional. You can make it in the same colors as you're using here, or you could make it in a different color. I'm going to stick with my red, but I'm actually going to double strand. Okay, I want a bow that's just slightly larger than what one strand will give me, and I'm going to stick with my 3.5mm crochet hook. Okay, so make a magic ring, leaving just a slightly longer tail than you perhaps normally would. So this is how I do my magic ring, but however you do yours. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So that counts as a triple crochet. And then we're going to place 5 more triple crochets into the ring to give us a total of 6. So that's triple crochet in US terminology, yarning over twice, inserting the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, oops, left behind a strand, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 3 counting my chain. I'm going to do 3 more. So you go ahead and finish your first set of triple crochets. So we're going to be doing this set twice. So I've got 4 there. I'm going to do 2 more off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my total of 6 triple crochets there. And now I'm just going to slip stitch into the ring. And I'm going to repeat that same process. So we'll chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So as my first triple crochet. And then I'm going to place 5 more triple crochets into my ring. So once again, I'll finish that off camera. And you go ahead and finish yours, and I'll be right back. And then once again, we'll slip stitch into the ring. Okay, so there we've got our 2, that's going to be eventually the 2 sides of our bow. And now we're just going to make some little, actually I've just slip stitched wrongly there. Let me just slip stitch so my tails aren't on the inside. There we go. Okay, now we're going to chain 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is making just little tails. Now in that second chain from the hook, you'll just slip stitch. In the next chain, single crochet. In the next half double crochet. In the next double crochet, so we're just adding a little shape to the tails here. In the next half double crochet, and excuse me one moment. Okay, sorry about that, Melba just wanted to come in. So we've done a half double crochet, so actually we've done slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, half double crochet, then single crochet. And then in these last 2 chains, we're just going to slip stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch into the ring. Okay, so that's one of our little tails done. And then we're just going to repeat that exact same process, so chaining 9 and working back. So slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, and 2 slip stitches at the end. So I'll finish my second one and I'll meet you in a moment. Okay, so I've just finished my second tail there. Then I'm just going to slip stitch back into the ring. And then just pull out your hook a little. And we're just going to close the ring, okay? So just find the tail ends and just pull on the tail end. Now you're going to have to pull quite firmly to close that up. So you want to pull firmly, but not so you break your yarn. You want to pull quite firmly to get that as closed as you can. I feel like I've got a little bit more to close there. There we go. Yeah, much better. Okay, so just take your hook back and you're just going to yarn over and pull through, but keep that tail. Oh, hang on, that's my wrong tail. Oh, that's the tail that I am closing the ring with. Sorry, yarn over this one and pull through, and then you're just going to pull through a good long tail. Nice long tail. Oh, how have I got that? There we go. Nice long tail. And actually I'll even go a little bit longer. Okay, so, and then what we're going to do, now you might just need to close your ring again. So do that if you need to. And then what you're going to do is take that long tail and you're just going to wrap it around. Now just make sure you're nice and even with your bow, and then just wrap that long tail end around the center. And once again, just make sure you're nice and even, and you might need to pull on your ringtail as well. So just wrap that around, getting it nice and central, and just working the shape of your bow as you go. I feel like I need just a little bit more on this side. And shaping your bow. So just wrap as much as you want around the center there until you've got it as tight as you want it to be. And then with these two tails at the back here, I'm going to tie a knot just to secure it. So tie a knot in the back. And there's your bow. Cute little bow. And then you're going to, so using your tail ends, so find an area with your collar, find an area that, see how this frill here is kind of sitting forward. I'm going to use that one. And then it's just a matter of sewing on your bow to your collar. So I'm just going to use one of my tail ends, and eventually I'll weave the other one in. I'm just going to use one of my tail ends on one side, and I'm just going to, so I mean, you can sew it wherever you like. If you want to actually sew it into this area here, you know, into the central area. Actually, I might even try doing that and just see how that looks. Yeah, actually that's going to be even better. Just sew it actually onto the inside of you know, into that same color, assuming it is the same color. But you can sew it, you know, just onto the frill there if you want to, or you can actually, I'm going to sew it more into this central piece. And let's just go up there. And I'm not actually going to go right through the bow. I'm going to go in and into the back, if I can get that in there, in and into the back of those strands. That might just take a little bit of working. Or actually you can come through the bow. Let's come through just on this side of the center there. And move that through. And I might need my rubber glove again. Oh no, there we go. Now let's just see how that's sitting. So it's going to sit okay. Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to sit fine. And then I'm just going to go back down through and through the collar. So, you know, there's no right or wrong way to sew this in, sew this on. So you just go ahead and sew on. And what I would do is, if you're coming up through the bow, then just come on this, just on the inside of each side of the bow, of the central area of the bow. And I would weave it, I would sew with two tails, like both of your tails, and I've actually got four, so it's a little bit confusing, but sew with both of your tails. So that's one side done, and then I'm going to do the other side in the same way. And that just, if you're sewing both sides of the bow, it just helps to keep it a little bit more even as well. It'll sit a little bit more evenly. So then I'll just go down and through with this other side, this other tail, and then back up and through. And you'll see I'm just bringing my needle when it comes through just up on the, let's just use my table, up on that, see, just on the inside of the center area there. So I'm going to keep finishing off that sewing on, and I'll be back once I've done that, and I'll also weave in my ends as well. And then actually, just to mention, it's always a good idea, whenever you've got two tails together, it's always a good idea just to tie those together just to secure that even more. So there's my bow sitting on there. Haven't woven in the tail ends yet, but there's my bow sitting on there. So you can just flatten out the tails and adjust if you need to. So there's my cute little bow sitting on there. And yeah, I'm going to take a moment just to weave in all my tail ends, and I'll be back and we'll finish off together. Okay, so there you have your very cute little festive collar, or you know, any time of the year frilly collar. So I think this is super cute. Look how cute that is. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe, and send along your photos to catventurous.community@gmail.com, or you can tag us on social media at catventurous.crochet. So I'd love to see photos of your cat and you know, the collar that you've made. So yeah, great to have you here with me, and as always I appreciate it very much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye.